that ye also love one another. But this shall all men, by this shall all men know that you are my disciple, if you have loved one another. I could tell you by example. I don't know if a lot of you watch the news and all that, and I watch what's going on in the world right now. I do. And I see people that talked about love and peace and all this, and the next thing you know, when it don't go their way, they're burning cities down, they're burning towns down because it don't go. That's speaking out both sides of your mouth. That's what you call a double standard. He said we love one another unconditionally, whether it goes our way or whether it don't. We are to love one another as Christ loved the church. We are to love one another. Whether I'm doing good or whether I'm not doing good, we are to love one another. Not depending on whether we can get something out of it or not. There was a disciple that followed Jesus only for the loaves and the fishes. And his reward that he received was all that he got here on earth, which wasn't but a little bit, 30 pieces of silver maybe. And to see Jesus perform miracles, but he only followed Jesus by what he could get out of it. There's a lot of people that's just following Jesus for what they can get out of it. I used to have a guy that told me, "Oh, you're just a preacher because you're just in it for the women." That's what he told me one time. And he was honest. He said, "You're just in it for the women." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Oh, you know how all them women," he said, "that's why 90% of your church is all women. They just all after the preacher." That was his understanding of the church. That's what he knew. Amen. Had no idea. But we love one another regardless of whether I'm doing good or whether I'm not. Not just if it's okay for me or okay for you. Not if it's convenient for me or convenient for you. I can be honest. I mean, there's a lot of people, there are a lot of preachers that are in it for the money. Come on. You talk about driving people away from God. You know how many people that I've spoke to about God that said, "What are you going to do? Sell me one of them vials of snake oil?" Come on. Because the Christians have got a bad reputation. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you love people for who they are, not because they're nice, not because they're pretty, not because they're rich, not because they're poor, not because they drive a nice car, but you just love people in general just because you want to love them, not with your love, but with the love of Christ, they'll know what you're all about. There won't be any guessing. There won't be, well, you're this or that. It'll be exactly what God intended for it to be. Love one another. The church misses that side. I know churches that if you're not in their clique or whatever, they won't even speak to you. I know people that have left churches because they said, "We went there for an entire year and nobody ever spoke to us." Come on. Loyalty. I'm not loyal to a building. I'm not loyal to a denomination. I'm loyal to Jesus. I'm not loyal to a brand name. I'm not loyal to I'm this or I'm that. I'm loyal to Jesus. And that's what we've got to make sure, that we're not following after something, that we're loyal to Jesus. We're not looking for anything else. I'm loyal to Him. Loyal to Him. And Him alone. What can separate you from the love of God? Nothing. Us. Only yourself. Only yourself. I've given you an example of my life. Christian has handed you something that you might think is absolutely ludicrous or insane or crazy. What's this crazy lady doing, standing up here praying and saying that I'm blessed, and saying she's going to hand me this Post-it note that don't mean anything to anybody. It might not mean anything to anybody, but it means everything to God. He's going to test your loyalty. He's done told you here tonight through her what He's going to do for you if you'll go home and do it. If you don't go home and do it, then guess what? It ain't God's fault. He done told you what He's going to do. Now, if you'll be loyal enough and you'll go home and you'll try it, try the Lord. Try Him. I try Him. and see if he's not good. Try him. I'm telling you. God, I could sit here and explain it. Listen, I could sit here and explain things to you and tell you stories about what God's done in my life and how God's done great and mighty things. But we'd be here all night. Love one another. Don't be ashamed of Him. Love one another. And just remember, nothing can separate you. Nothing. If you don't allow it to. If you would, stand with me tonight. Amen. I'm going to get Christian and Jamie to come and get a song or praise team or whatever. Lord, if God has spoken to you tonight, I want you to come up tonight. Amen. And we're going to line up and we're just going to worship God tonight before we go. I want you to come up front if God has spoken to you tonight in this message about being loyal. Some of you may need to get rid of some things in your life. Let's just get up here across the front. Let's just worship God tonight. Amen.
Thanks for joining with us for the broadcast from New Beginning Worship Center in Greenback, Tennessee. We are located at 6501 Highway 411 South in Greenback, Tennessee, zip code 37742. Emails may be addressed to nbwcmailbox@gmail.com. Pastor Marcus Severance and the congregation invite you to join with us Sundays at 10 a.m. for teaching, followed by worship services at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. We also meet midweek at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. We're located on Highway 411 in Greenback, Tennessee, just 3 buildings down from the intersection of Highway 95. If you can't meet with us in person, please join us again next time for our broadcast.